my lovely viewers, and welcome back to our audiobook series of Legends Turn to Ash. And today we will be reading Chapter 5, so let's get started. Legends Turn to Ash, Chapter 5. Is this really happening? Dirt went in my nose and scattered into my eyes. The heat and dirt continuously stabbed my lungs with millions of daggers and resulted in a moment of uncontrollable coughing. My eyes pried themselves open as I scanned my surroundings. Asher was still sprawled on the fresh green grass where he fainted. Alzora was fixed behind me in a terrifying defense position, teeth bared, wings unfurled, tail whipped out, and eyes so fierce they could be mistaken for knives. I deeply inhaled and dragged my arms in front of me to bring myself up. I rose to my feet and looked at the enemy. A dragon stood before me about the same size of Alzora. The first thing my eyes noticed were his wings, spikes, chest plates, and tail tip. Flames seemed to engulf his wings. Reds, oranges, and yellows shifted downward on each side. His chest plates were the same way. Instead of spikes running down his back, bursts of fire shot up in random places. Flames surrounded the tip of his tail. The rest of his body was coated with obsidian scales, and his horns and claws were a dark silver. His ears were longer than Alzora's, and he had small flames sprouting from his cheeks. Tiny flame-colored squiggles covered his scales. At last my innocent blue eyes locked with his bloodthirsty, unmerciful golden ones. It was a silent and petrifying moment. I couldn't help but be curious about why nobody was taking action. I had to break the silence. "Who are you?" I asked confidently after clearing my throat. The mysterious dragon growled and inched closer, his tail lashing from side to side. "I should be asking you the same thing." His voice was deep and threatening, enough to send chills down my spine. Before I could speak, Alzora stepped in. "You first." Tension filled the air, so I decided to do the talking to prevent any fight from breaking out. "I'm Whisper. The aggressive one over there is Alzora. Your turn, please." He lowered his guard a bit and sat down. "I am known as Zephyr. What is your purpose on this island?" "We're trying to find the fire-destined pair," I said. Alzora whacked me with her tail. "You can't tell him that." Ignoring her, I continued. "I guess you can say we're the ice-destined pair. Do you know anything else about this?" "I guess my assumption was right. You two pathetic worms really are the destined ones. Asher and I are the fire-destined pair, but that imbecile over there doesn't even know that I am his companion. You humans are idiotic. He cannot even look at me without fainting. Then he wakes up the next morning believing it was just a dream. I thought about eating him more than once. How dare he faint in the presence of such a beautiful superior dragon?" Zephyr snapped. "Did he just call us pathetic worms?" Alzora twitched in frustration. It all made sense, the reason why Asher had every sign of a destined one, but no memory. I wanted to agree with Zephyr about Asher being a wimp, but I couldn't. He was just an innocent young boy. "That kinda makes sense," Alzora said, easing her defensive position. "Wait, if you had a feeling that we were allies, why did you almost crush Whisper when you were landing? Explain that." "That's easy. I didn't care. Plus, if you couldn't save your own companion from a dragon simply landing, then neither of you are worthy of being destined. Everybody's alive, so I don't see a problem," Zephyr said with superiority. "You little—" Alzora nearly lunged at him, but I managed to grab her tail and pull her backward. Still holding Alzora's tail, I managed to speak. "Well, there's no use in looking back on it now. I'm sure we will learn to trust each other soon enough and become friends. I mean, we don't really have a choice now, do we? Though, I think I can help Asher with his fainting problem. If I just explain what's going on and slowly introduce him to you guys, I think he'll be fine." I stared at Asher for a moment and then back at Alzora and Zephyr. "Actually, I think I'll go do that right now. Please don't kill each other." They locked eyes and growled. Quickly, I ran to Asher's body, which was still lying on the ground. I grabbed the bottled water he gave me earlier and poured a little over his face. I wasn't sure if it would wake him up, but it seemed to work. Slowly his eyes batted open, confused. I helped him up, and before he could ask any questions, I made my move. Asher, this is gonna sound crazy, but you're not allowed to faint, okay? Dragons are real. They exist. Apparently we're destined to save the world and yada yada yada. Sometimes details are so overrated. I'll go over them later. Anyway, I have a dragon as a partner, and so do you. Mine's name is Alzora, and together we are the Ice Destined pair. Your dragon's name is Zephyr, and you guys are the Fire Destined pair. We're going to meet them now. Are you ready? The boy seemed speechless, but I guess he wasn't because he managed to blurt out, "Wait, what? That is so cool! This is like a video game. I get to save the world and I even have a dragon. Awesome, I want to meet them. Come on, let's go." I was slightly surprised by his reaction, but I had to clarify with him to make sure he was clear on the matter. "You aren't going to faint, right?" He shook his head and sprung into the air. His glasses bounced right along with him. I sighed, gave a quick chuckle, smiled, and grabbed his hand. "Okay, this way." As we walked over to Alzora and Zephyr, Asher couldn't keep his mouth shut. Real dragons? I'm so excited. I wonder if they'll like me. Well, hopefully not as a meal. I mean like a friend. Anger and tenseness lingered in the atmosphere as Alzora glared at Zephyr with her eyes like daggers. I rolled my eyes at them. "Will you give it a rest?" The words I spoke snaked in and out of Alzora's long diamond ears, but she did not dare glance at me. "Hey, I'm serious. Stop it. I don't have time to watch you two glare at each other all day, pondering ideas of how to murder each other and get away with it. Get up and say hi to this kid." It was shocking yet relieving to see that my words had affected them. Without a word, they snarled at each other and sat in front of the young boy. Alzora seated herself on her hind legs, neatly folded in her wings, wrapped her tail loosely around her body, and let her long front legs vertically descend to the dry dirt. Zephyr, on the other hand, sat on his hind legs, spread out his wings, slashed the air with his flaming tail, and rested his front legs on his knees. The young boy wore an overjoyed grin and wide eyes. His words were trapped and frozen in awe. With a slow downward movement of the head, Alzora introduced herself. "Hello, Asher. I'm Alzora. We've heard much about you. Well, not really. Point is, it's a pleasure to finally meet you, even if your dragon is a spineless coward," says the weakling who would most likely kill her own partner. "Anyway, I am Zephyr. I am your dragon for now, but if you dare show any weakness in battle or attempt to run away, I will find you and kill you. Trust me when I say this, it would not be a quick death. I would tear off your limbs one by one and torch the rest of your pathetic human body." With eyes that held the demons of hell, Zephyr formed an iniquitous smile. Nothing could describe the face I wore at that moment. Asher's expression hadn't changed, but he could have been frozen with fear. Zephyr, did you really just say that? What kind of introduction is that? Who does that?" I shouted. The flaming dragon flicked his tail and grinned once more. "What? I was just being honest. What is the deal with you petty humans? My introduction was far better than that disgrace of an ice dragon. No wonder most of your species went extinct." His words awakened a side of Alzora that no one had ever witnessed. "What did you just call me? Don't you ever speak of my race. You do not know what happened in the past and why they all vanished. I will not take this amount of disrespect from an unmannered, ill-willed, immature, childish, naive, not to mention plain stupid dragon who can't even control the temperature of his flames. I bet you thought no one would notice, didn't you? When it comes to you hot-headed dragons, the weak ones who cannot control their fire are banished from the tribe, never to return. You mock everyone else's personal problems, but you should look at your own first. Whisper is a human, which makes her weak already, and she doesn't really even know why she is here." She still moves forward. "Asher isn't too bright, but he is here, too, giving this whole thing a chance. I believe you should do the same and stop judging the world." I wonder if that's why it was so unbelievably hot when he was landing. I mean, it would make sense, but how do I know he wasn't just making it hot on purpose? Her words settled into me for a moment and surrounded me in a coat of pride. Alzora was right. She always has been. As a weapon, the past can destroy even the mightiest of beings, but as a tool, it can make even the smallest creature move forward. Asher and I understood this fact, because it was what was driving us toward our goal. Zephyr hesitated. Alzora's words had reached him, and there was a chance to start our adventure with a newfound friendship. It was a long while before anyone spoke, but the first to shatter the silence was Asher. The young boy possessed a smile that could brighten even the darkest of days, and shine through the most awkward moments of silence. With this smile and a pure heart, he gazed into Zephyr's eyes and spoke softly. "Hey, I don't care that you can't control your fire. Honestly, I like you the way you are, even if you do judge and threaten people. You're really cool. That being said, please accept me and let me be your friend." Asher's words slapped Zephyr at every angle, and for a moment I caught a glimpse of a tiny smile shift across his face. The smile almost immediately faded, but it was proof that Zephyr was listening and understood what Asher was attempting to say. "Well, that's that," I stated with a smile, assuming the situation was resolved. "Let's go. Who knows when the next unnatural disaster will occur. Plus, we still need to find the lightning guy. We don't have a single lead, and I'm out of ideas. How about you guys? How about you start using your heads and come up with a plan?" Alzora stared at me unapprovingly, like always, and spoke at last. "Really? Why would you want to set off immediately? You even know that we don't have a plan. And you just want to fly off into the sunset? Seriously? We just landed. I have been flying for days on end. I am too tired to even think about flying today. That just makes my amazingly intelligent brain hurt. I'm not going." Zephyr stepped in at this point as well. "Indeed, I'm not going either. I don't feel like it. I am tired as well." I was pleased by the fact that Zephyr had calmed down and was speaking somewhat politely. On the other hand, I was a tad bit angry at them for not wanting to head out, but I could understand that. It was a bit naive and ignorant of me for being so obsessed with moving forward, knowing that everyone must have been tired. "Hey, Whisper, it would be kind of awesome if we had a slumber party at my house. Even the dragons could fit in. Oh, sorry, I mean, Alzora and Zephyr would be comfortable inside. We've been out here for a long time. It's hot and I'm starving. Please?" Asher's smile was always so innocent, yet so mysterious. I didn't know how to say no to it. He didn't seem to understand the situation at all, but he continued to follow our plan. He even invited us to rest at his own home. However, I sensed something hidden within him, something that he wouldn't tell us now and might not ever. It was something that only he knew, something of the past and possibly the future. Despite all that, he did make a good point. My stomach had been growling for a while now, and it was so blazingly hot that there wasn't an inch of dry skin on my body. "Thanks, Zephyr. You kind of made it scorching out here. I mean, even the grass is now turning brown. What have I gotten myself into?" As we walked the short distance to his house, exhausted, I noticed that Alzora and Zephyr were proud that they had achieved their goal. They were dead set on relaxing for the rest of the day. As they trotted along, their similarity was apparent. It wasn't clear or understandable, but something about them was so similar. As we approached the house, I realized it was bigger than I initially thought. The house resembled a log cabin. It was as if it came straight from a picture. The base color of the cabin was a hand-brushed gray on maple, with small light blue windows placed everywhere. On top sat a matching blue roof that seemed to welcome everyone who came near. As we approached the sky-blue door, a lavender fragrance wrapped itself around me and cleansed my aching brain of all negativity. It was sweet, calming, and charming. Tulips of all colors hung from the porch, and the shadow of a small creature peered at us through the window. Asher hopped over to the door and swung it open with a welcoming smile. Most of the walls inside had a gray base with an accent of blue, and little furniture could be seen. There was a couch in front of a large TV, and a tall marble table was in the kitchen. As we walked into the house in awe, I caught a full view of the creature in the window. It was a big hermit crab. His body was a light shade of red that shifted into orange, then white, and his eyes were a piercing black. His round shell swirled into a gorgeous blue, yellow, black, and green pattern. I'd almost forgotten how great air conditioning was. The minute I stepped through the door, a chill wiggled up and down my spine. It felt like heaven. An embarrassing growl roared from my stomach, and soon other small ones followed. Laughter broke the silence as the day faded into night. Asher may not have had much food to serve, but the food he did make was delicious. He spread ham, turkey, and steak neatly across the table. With each mouth-watering bite, my heart melted. As we dragged our bodies to the guest rooms, I couldn't help but be suspicious. Asher was such an innocent boy, but why was he alone? Why did one person live in such a large house? Where was his family? Before I could finish my one-sided interrogation, I had reached my room. It felt good to flop on a soft mattress again. The comforters wrapped their soft silk around me and engulfed me with warmth. The deep thoughts I had previously occupied faded away, and my mind was at ease. Consciousness didn't waste any time before leaving my body as I fell deeply into a dreamy wonderland. It was a feeling of pure warmth and innocence that can only be felt in another reality. In a quick, confusing, and frightening second, the moment of joy and adventure was ripped out of my body, and a series of unfamiliar pictures rapidly flipped through my dream world. I saw a swamp, tall trees, and a strange dragon. The images gave me a sinking feeling, but what did it all mean? Toward the end of my strange vision, the dragon appeared, reaching out to me, terrified. The detail was vague, but the dragon had a distinguishable shell on its back, and as well as large dark blue wings. I wanted to know more, but once again I was torn from my dream world. Hey, wake up. I'm bored. It's almost noon, so let's go find that electric guy already. Everybody else is awake. Wake up. There was no doubt it was Alzora who was screaming in my ear. I groaned and rolled onto my stomach, exhausted. Okay, I'm up. Still dazed, I hopped out of my bed and put on an extra pair of clothes I brought in my bag. Alzora rolled her eyes, as usual, and stared at me. You are so slow. Where are we going anyway? We have no lead. The vision from last night raced through my mind once more, and I understood. I wasn't positive, but the swamp surroundings looked like the Okefenokee Swamp in Georgia. It may have been just a hunch, but at least it was a start. Hey, so this may sound a little crazy, but I promise that I'm not crazy. Well, I mean, I am crazy, but not this kind of crazy. Actually, never mind. Point is, just take my word for it. I saw this strange vision in my dream last night, and part of it was this swamp I know, or at least I think it was, and there was a dragon in it. Though he wasn't a normal dragon, he was like a mutated or something because he had a huge shell on his back and webbed talons. Honestly, I have no clue why he was in my dream, but he was. So I think we should check it out. By the way, this is probably not the best time to say this, but I've been having these visions, ever since Pulvery told me I was destined. Some of them are kind of scary, and I don't know what they mean. Alzora, Zephyr, and Asher all gave me the same look, like I was crazy, but eventually Alzora spoke out. So when... Did you say a dragon with a shell? Zephyr rudely interrupted, ignoring my heartfelt confession. Hey! Alzora thrashed her tail about, attempting to control her frustration, and continued. I was asking a question first. Why are you so idiotic? Acting superior as always, Zephyr lifted his snout and puffed out some smoke. I am obviously more intelligent, therefore I get to ask the important questions. Anyway, whisper, did you or did you not say you saw a turtle-shelled dragon? Alzora continued to contain her anger and managed to keep her mouth closed for the time being. I, on the other hand, needed to answer Zephyr's question. Yeah, that's what I said. Why does it matter? Our tribe has been relatively peaceful throughout history, but for such peace to occur, sacrifices must be made. Over the course of centuries, only 3 dragons were said to have been banished from the tribe. The first was Gideon. Even in the earliest ages of dragons, measures had to be taken. Gideon was said to be a dragon created from evil itself due to its dark black and red egg color. Typically, an egg of that matter would only be considered unusual, but encrypted on it were the words, "All that lives on this earth will die by my talons and one other's." I don't know all the details as to why the egg appeared that way. I guess our ancestors didn't want to take any chances, so they buried it in a cave 20,000 feet below the island. The second and third cases were more recent. The second case dealt with a dragon born of feather. Few scales covered its body. Such an atrocity was banished from the tribe. The third case was somewhat similar in that we banished a dragon based on his appearance and characteristics. At the time, I believe you humans were having some trouble with power surges, and one of the nuclear power plants happened to explode. The mother of the banished dragon was caught in the explosion and was stranded in the area for several weeks. When she laid her egg, all seemed fine. When the newborn hatched, though, he was mutated. Worried, the mother took her child to the tribe only to find that the dragon must be banished, never to return. They probably thought they would catch whatever disfigurement he had, though I don't think his problem works that way. That dragon had a large shell on his back, webbed talons, and large dark blue wings. He was banished 15 years ago. If that is indeed the dragon from your dream, then we may have some obstacles ahead of us. Where is this swamp you speak of? You guys are so messed up. I mean, who does that? Talk about discrimination. Seriously, I'm gonna have to have a little chat with your elders when this whole fiasco is over. Okay, the swamp is called Okefenokee. I am pretty sure it's in Georgia, but I don't know exactly where. It might be near Waycross, but then again, it may not be. Sometimes I hated my horrible memory. We covered this information in like 7th grade. I could hear Elzora mumbling to herself in the back, but eventually she spoke up. Whatever, I could have told her that. Stop trying to act so superior, you flaming pile of scales. Let's just go already. Let's turn around and head back to the place we started, or at least near there. Asher hadn't contributed at all to the conversation until now. All right, let's go. It's going to be so fun. I sighed, but at the same time his innocence was amusing. Part of me feels like these days are going by too quickly, but I don't want our adventure to stop. I mean, we haven't done much besides flying a lot and meeting Asher and Zephyr. As we argue here, the earth is still rotting, oceans are depleting, and I have done nothing to stop it. Alright guys, that is all for chapter 5, and this book will be picking up soon, so things are going to get a little crazy, but stay tuned and I'll be posting next week. Have a good day. Bye!